Hey YouTube, it is League Turnover today, and it is the Great League Jungle Cup and Ultra League, which is, I think, a repeat of what it was like 4 weeks ago. So not a new league, so we can kind of go over a little quicker about the typings and rankings and get into some of the teams that I've used I used or showcased earlier in the season. So 1500 CP, so it's a great league. There's enough typings in this to make this feel like there's a lot of Pokemon to use. So normal, grass, electric, poison, ground, flying, bug, and dark. Banning Gligar and Stunfisk because I guess Niantic thinks it's 2022. So here is the list of the top 20. You will see a lot of these Pokemon in the top teams. It just makes sense that you got some meta Pokemon and Pokemon that have more play given what is not given the main typings of this meta, right? So when you look at the typings here, normal, grass, electric, poison, ground, flying, bug, and dark, you look at Altaria right away. It's like, okay, what is Altaria weak to? Altaria is weak to fairy. It's not one of the main typings. It's double weak to ice, not one of the main typings. So you look at that right away and be like, okay, unless these Pokemon get in as their secondary typing, Altaria is going to have a pretty strong play because one, the main typings that it's weak to are not one of the main typings, and two, Altaria is just a beast, right? Got bulk. Dragon Breath rework has been great for it because you get those sky attacks at a very quick pace. You have Flamethrower now for the coverage for your steals. So it is a pretty strong Pokemon overall to use. So when you go through the list, there was a variety of Pokemon like typings that I saw used. So the first, we'll start with just the flyers because Altaria is a dragon but is also a flyer. You got Corviknight on this list. You have Togekiss on this list. And then one not on this top list that you will see a lot of is Gyarados. Guys, I have Gyarados on one team, and it was used quite a lot on this list. Like in the Jungle Cup last time it was around. So flyers are strong because ground is one of the typings which you beat handily. So is grass, which you do well against, and bug pretty good as well, right? So you have three typings in this main meta that you do well against while also not having any of your sort of biggest weaknesses there. So flying, automatically up there. With that, you did see quite a lot of, I'm surprised Dedenne is not on the top 20 list. The second is the sort of electric. I saw Dedenne's as a ton. Fortress you sometimes see as a Volt Switch user, just to give you some coverage there with Rock Tomb. And then you have these rock Pokemon that I'll add into this list to beat flyers because you have Crustle with Rock Wrecker and Critterly with Rock Tomb, right? So to give you some of that flyer coverage. So that was pretty good. Otherwise, it's a lot of this. So that's why like Crustle's higher. Fortress, Clodsire, Diggersby. Diggersby and Clodsire as very strong ground Pokemon. Water is not one of the main typings, so that gives you an advantage there. Are just generally strong. That's where you get into Piloswine here. I said, you got some grounds at the top here. You got Altaria, Diggersby, Clodsire, Cradily, all weak to ice here. And ice is not one of the main typings, but you can get in on a secondary typing. That secondary typing for Piloswine is ground. So it's a ground ice ranked so high because there are a ton of Pokemon weak to ice in this meta. So Piloswine ranks up high there. Steelix, same sort of thing. It's up there not because it's an ice, but because it can deal with a lot of these flying Pokemon. It is a steal with Thunderfang to go through there. Guzzlord's there. Guzzlord's wireless. Same reason as Altaria, just not as bulky. Not as much coverage. That's basically why Altaria is higher than Guzzlord's wireless. But Guzzlord's wireless as dragons, still very good play here. Scizor, again, I feel like I don't need to explain Scizor. It only has one weakness, and that is fire, and fire is not one of the main typings, so it is going to do well. Dunsparce, the other reason Diggersby is so high is normal is half normal, and normal only has one weakness, and that one weakness is fighting. Fighting is not one of the main typings. Again, you can get in secondary, but even so, if you think of the main fighters, like a lot of the main fighters are just pure fighting, like Primeape, Machamp, and then your secondary fighters are like Annihilape, which is Ghost, which is not on this list. There is Dark on this list, so you may see some Pangoros. But otherwise, not a ton of fighters on this list, which makes pure normal typings like Dunsparce, very, very strong. I already mentioned Togekiss and Zweilous. And then Runerigus, I think Runerigus just gives you a combination of a nice fast move with Shadow Claw, Rock Tomb, which lowers the attack and covers all these flying, while being half like Ghost, so it resists some of these bug type Pokemon. You have a quick Brutal Swing to get to. So I think it's just like an overall. There's nothing that is like Runerigus needs to be the top 20 because of this. It's just, I think, overall pretty strong. You can look at its weaknesses, right? Water, Ice, those two aren't on the list, but the Dark is on the list. So you can kind of be like, it's overall pretty somewhat safe as you head into this meta. Okay, let's look at some teams. So Altaria, Credilli, Scizor. It was a very straightforward team. Altaria, as I mentioned, weak to Fairy and Ice. Not a lot of those. Credilli is your safe swap. Scizor is only weak to Fire. So Altaria resists Fire. Scizor resists Fairy and Ice. Credilli is a safe swap. You are double weak to Ice on this team. So what could be a bit of an issue is that Piloswine, that's when you need to roll the dice. You just kind of roll the dice and hope you do not see a Piloswine. Or the other option is you can run Credilli with Bullet Seed because Piloswine is half ground. So you can hit super effective with the Bullet Seed and hit super effective with the Grass Knot and charge slightly faster on the first. So that's an option if you're really seeing a lot of Piloswines. But otherwise, it is a very straightforward, balanced team. Altaria lead. I'm not getting out unless unfortunately, you do need to get out if you see Piloswine. If you go straight Scizor, is that risky? Yeah, but I don't think there's a ton of fires in this meta. Like, let me just behind the scenes here, look up Jungle Cup and look up fire Pokemon that are in this meta. Talonflame, okay, Talonflame, Charizard. And then if you want to get really kind of niche, you're going to look at some Salazzles and Litleos. But flying is one of the typings, so Talonflame, Charizard. Yeah, I guess you do need to watch out for those because those are pretty prevalent in the main meta there. Gyarados, Spiritomb, Runerigus. So, Spiritomb, Runerigus are very strong Pokemon in general. They're just generally safe. Again, not a lot of fairies, so Spiritomb has a little more play. You balance out so your Ghost and Dark weakness with that Dark. Very spammy, not super spammy, but like Sucker Punch really does a lot of damage, and then Rock Tomb gives you coverage. Runerigus is more spammy with the Brutal Swing, Rock Tomb. Both can be used as safe swaps. Using at least one ground in the back in Runerigus because Gyarados is on the lead, and Gyarados is double weak to Electric, Water and Flying, so double weak to Electric. So I think, in my opinion, worth running at least one ground to offset it. So you can argue that Spiritomb is a safe swap. You can kind of go with both as safe swaps if you need to. Dedenne could be a little tricky if it's on the lead, because then what are you going to? Runerigus right away, and then it gets out, and then you're left with a Sucker Punch user. Could be tough. So you can, like, if you want to, I run Runerigus, Gyarados, and maybe a different safe swap if you're that worried about something like Dedenne on the lead. But Gyarados is one of those that you need to use shields for, but it is very, very, very strong with the Dragon Breath rework and getting to those Aqua Tails crunches quick. Crustle, Drapion, and Fret. Again, this one is more just a balanced team. This is pretty much just a balanced team. I think when I put this team together, it was like I want 3 Pokemon that actually are safe. I know what this one is. This is a safe team, and then are very, very spammy as well. So Crustle, with that Rock Wrecker, gives you fantastic coverage. Drapion is a fantastic safe swap, and so is Ferret, just with that super quick Sucker Punch Swift. And if I remember, like, these are all like top 10. Actually, Ferret's a little lower. Crustle, number 1 safe according to PVPOKE. Crustle is the number 1 switch in GBL. Drapion is that's a non-shadow Drapion, but Drapion is the number 5. And then Ferret is 13, but there may be some repeats up here. Yeah, like there's Hippowdon as a repeat up here. So there are 3 of the top, 12, 13 safe swaps on this team, where you just have a lot of freedom to kind of work through matchups, and depending on if you have a bad matchup, What a bad matchup for Crustle Bee. Steel. I think Steel would be the toughest one because Fury Cutter, X-Scissor, Rock Wrecker are resisted. So if you're seeing a Steel, you can get out and you can go Drapion or Ferret. Both are okay, although you have no charge move for Steals with Ferret either, but you can like just boost your attack and just go Sucker Punch your way through a lot of those matchups. There's the Dedenne. Oh, wow, how creative. Actually, there's two teams like this. So Dedenne and Talonflame. This is the core that's been together in the Open Great League forever. Well, forever since Dedenne got buffed. And so they just cover each other's weaknesses generally well. Ground is your biggest weakness. Because I use the Shadow Talonflame, I really like Shadow Talonflame because even in some bad matchups, you can just potentially Incinerate and Flame Charge your way through, or even Incinerate Fly your way through some of those matchups. Because both Dedenne and Talonflame on this team are better when you use shields with them. Paired it with Umbreon, and Umbreon is one of these that was kind of a very, very sneaky strong pick for me, and I think I've got it on my last team, on a team that's very similar to this, because, as I mentioned, fighting is not one of the main typings, so there's very few fighters in here, and a fairies are not a main typing, so there's only a few fairies in here. So you can kind of use that with your bulk, overshield the Dedenne Talonflame. If you have any sort of neutral or even a soft loss lead, you could potentially like overshield the Dedenne and then align on Umbreon and just take the damage. I think that's pretty much how I play this team. Umbreon stay swap, otherwise just kind of overshield and then aligned based on what I was seeing in the back. Marowak double flyer. Man, I've seen double flyer constantly in the Open Great League. Right now, the Open Great League, it's usually with Corviknight Talonflame. But this one's Pharaoh Corviknight, so you can put in Talonflame here if you want to. If you put Talonflame, it makes you double weak to water. Marowak, even a lot of the water Pokemon, Marowak can just Mud Slap and Bone Club its way through. That's what makes Marowak very, very strong. Do you need to say swap out? Yes, sort of. You are double weak to electric in the back. So if you see a Dedenne in the back and you don't get out before, you're in pretty bad situation. So you do one of two things. You can replace Payback with like Iron Head and just have a steel move that you can actually hit Dedenne. You do have Drone on Pharaoh. With Shield's advantage, you could be okay with the front, but maybe you want to safe swap. I've seen Corviknight use it as a safe swap, and I know Pharaoh definitely can be a safe swap. So it's one of those things where, do you need to draw it out? I would lean on towards yes, you do need to try and draw it out to Dedenne if you can, and then go from there. Again, I think you can use both just depending on what you are trying to read on the back here. Stunfisk, Ferret, Pangoro. As I mentioned, I'll ignore Ferret because it's just a solid safe swap. I mentioned Pangoro is pretty much one of the only fighters in this meta. No, Polygon's not in either because it's half water. So Pangoro is one of the only fighters in this meta. There are a lot of things weak to fighter in this meta. There's some rocks. There is some normal typing, as I mentioned. There's some steals, like Steelix. So we'll have some play. A little glassy, so I kind of paired it with Fred as a safe swap. Does make you double weak to fighting, but again, you don't really need to worry about those too much. And then Stunfisk, because Stunfisk has a lot of not a lot of bulk, but yeah, a good amount of bulk actually, that you can definitely take some charge moves, while also covering what could be an issue in flying, right? So if you got Pangoro as a fighter, you're not really going to have much to throw at flyers, so Stunfisk will be able to deal with some of those flyers. I'll kind of not go through this one super quick, but basically it was the same team as before. Talonflame, Umbreon. This time, instead of the Dedenne, I tried with Charge Bug and Lantern. Water Gun Lantern seems to be the go-to in this meta. Again, there are a decent amount of ground in this meta, so having the Water Gun could give you some leverage that you may not have had before. Charge Bug, I think I tried it with the first time, and then I think I probably ran into too many Gastrodons or too many Marowaks and stuff, and then I'm like, I think it's probably better with the Water Gun Lantern instead. And one from Home Size Henry here. Yes, Water Gun as seen here. As I mentioned, Water Gun I think just has more play in this meta. Togekiss could act as a pretty nice safe swap too. Your toughest answer is going to be Scizor, but even if you do, you will grab one shield from the Scizor with the Aura Sphere. which makes a very strong Pokemon, gives you a lot of coverage on this thing. And then the Guzzlord, as I mentioned, a top 20 Dragon, weak to fighting, weak to fairy, weak to ice. Not a ton of those in the meta. And whenever you start taking off some of your main weaknesses for a Pokemon that's generally strong and safe, you should do pretty well. So that is it. It is also Ultra League. Still torn whether I want to actually showcase an Ultra League top teams or not. Just because I don't think I've played it much at all, so I don't know if I want to showcase. So you may or may not get a second video this afternoon. Definitely have Z, who's a longtime subscriber and constant legend and leaderboard player, who submitted a Jungle Cup team 3 or 4 weeks ago when it was on. So I can definitely I'm shooting his today too. So I will showcase his on probably Wednesday. There is that new Pokemon, I forget its name already, Spidas or whatever it's called. New Pokemon in the game that is ranked top 50 in the Open Great League, and I think it's in like the top 40-ish, 40 to 50 here in the Cup as well. So I may showcase it as like a Beyond the Hype type thing in the Jungle Cup, just because I want to test it out, and if it's available, might as well use it. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, that is it. Yeah, so you won't see the team that I've been using for the Great League. I may hit Legend here, or if I don't, I'm definitely going to hit Legend when I come back this time. 2,500 to 20. I was at 2960. I did go 1-4 to end the thing, which was frustrating, so I'm down to like 2920. But yeah, 2,500 to 2,920 right now. 4-5-0 sets with this team in the Open Great League. If I had not gone 1-4 in the last set, I maybe have pushed like the 2 sets in the morning here today. But after losing that, I think I'll just try my luck in the Jungle Cup. And then I'll showcase that team when Great League comes back next week. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you do not miss that. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.